He does not kneel quickly. It is a slow, deliberate motion, the sound of a perfectly engineered mechanism engaging. The crisp fabric of his dress uniform, heavy with gold braid and ribbons that tell stories of far-off seas and impossible conflicts, makes a soft, respectful sound in the stunned silence of the boardroom. General Marcus Thorne, a man who commands fleets and advises presidents, a man whose spine is forged from naval steel, lowers one knee to the polished floor. He does this before the entire board of Sterling Marine, before the woman who owns the company, and he does it for the quiet man in the grease-stained work shirt standing by the door. A man she had called insignificant, a man whose worn boots she had openly mocked. Stay with me to the end to discover why a four-star general kneels. It is a story about the quiet weight of integrity. Subscribe, and if you understand the value of what is not said, drop the word "stay" in the comments. Weeks earlier, the air smells of salt, diesel, and new money. It is the christening of the Sterling Peregrine, the flagship yacht meant to announce to the world that Clara Sterling is in command, that her father's legacy is not only safe, but will be surpassed. The sun is sharp, glinting off the chrome railings and the white fiberglass hull that rises from the water like a monument to wealth. Clara stands on the temporary dais, a figure carved from expensive gray wool. Her shoes are Italian, impractical for a boatyard, and make a sharp, authoritative click on the plywood. Beside her, Marcus Vance, her father's chief operating officer, murmurs in her ear. His voice is a low, confidential hum, the sound of practiced manipulation. The engine is a custom job, Marcus says, his gaze fixed on a distant point over the water. One of your father's sentimental projects. High performance but temperamental. Unreliable for the commercial market. Clara's jaw is a tight, unforgiving line. Sentiment does not appear on a balance sheet. Who is responsible for it? Marcus allows a small, theatrical sigh. He scans the crowd of workers, investors, and journalists. His eyes land, as he knew they would, on a man standing near the massive slipway winch. Elias Thorne. The name means nothing to Clara. She follows his gaze. The man is of average height with shoulders made broad by work, not a gym. His hands, resting on a steel lever, are stained with the memory of oil and metal. He wears a simple, dark blue work shirt, the name Sterling Marine embroidered over the pocket in a faded, patient thread. He is watching the yacht, not the ceremony. His focus is absolute, his expression unreadable. He was a favorite of your father's. Marcus continues, the word favorite coated in a thin layer of disdain. Given a great deal of latitude, his workshop is a relic. Costs us a fortune in overhead. Clara's eyes narrow. She sees a problem to be solved, an inefficiency to be streamlined. She sees a loose thread in the tight weave of the company she now commands. She does not see the way the other mechanics give the man a wide berth, a space born not of fear, but of profound respect. She does not see the way his hands, though stained, move with the grace of a surgeon. The ceremony proceeds. A bottle of champagne, tethered by a red ribbon, shatters against the bow. The crowd applauds. The yacht is meant to slide gracefully into the water. It does not. There is a groan of stressed metal, a high-pitched squeal. The massive cradle holding the Peregrine shudders, lurches forward 3 feet, and then stops. A collective gasp ripples through the onlookers. The applause dies, replaced by an uncomfortable electric silence. Marcus is at her side instantly. The winch motor. It ceased. Thorne's team was responsible for its maintenance. He says it loud enough for those nearby to hear. The lie is smooth, well-rehearsed. Clara feels a hot flush of anger and embarrassment. Her first major event. Her moment to project strength. And this, she strides down from the dais, her heels sinking slightly into the asphalt of the yard. The crowd parts for her. She walks directly to the man by the winch. Elias Thorne does not turn as she approaches. His attention is on the machinery, his head cocked as if listening to a conversation she cannot hear. He places a hand on the steel housing of the winch motor, his palm flat against the hot metal. He feels the vibration. It is wrong. It is a tremor of sabotage, not failure. Mr. Thorne, her voice is cold, sharp. He turns his head slowly. His eyes are a calm, steady gray. They meet hers without deference, but also without challenge. They are simply watching. "This is your responsibility?" she asks. It is not a question. It is an accusation. He does not answer immediately. His gaze flicks to Marcus, who stands behind Clara, his face a mask of feigned concern. Elias sees the flicker of triumph in the man's eyes. He understands completely. He understands the mechanics of this situation as well as he understands the mechanics of the engine he built. He looks back at her. "I am responsible for the engine in the yacht, Miss Sterling. Not the launch mechanism." His voice is quiet, a low baritone with a rough edge of fatigue. Clara's eyes drop from his face to his feet. He wears old leather work boots, the toes scuffed and scarred. The laces are frayed. A smear of dark grease marks the right side. They are the boots of a man who works, a man who kneels on concrete floors to get at the heart of a problem. She does not see the dignity in them. She sees only inefficiency, obsolescence, a part of her father's company that she needs to cut away. "I am told your work is unreliable," she says, her voice carrying in the quiet yard. "I am told your entire division is a drain on this company, a sentimental project we can no longer afford." He says nothing. His silence is a wall. She wants him to argue, to defend himself, to give her something to fight against. He does not. He simply stands there, his hands loose at his sides. He has already lost things far more important than a job. His pride is not a fragile thing. "Look at this," she says, the insult coiling out of her, fueled by public humiliation. She gestures vaguely at the failed launch, at him, at the whole messy, greasy reality of the work that underpins her clean corporate world. "Look at your boots. This is not the image of Sterling Marine. This is the past." Effective immediately, your special projects division is dissolved. You are reassigned to the general maintenance pool. Report to Mr. Vance for your new duties. She dismisses him with a turn of her shoulder. She walks away, the sharp click of her heels announcing her departure. She does not look back to see his reaction. He does not have one. He does not clench his fists. He does not mutter a curse. He does not protest his innocence. He simply watches her walk away. Then, his eyes drift back to the stricken yacht, held precariously on the slipway. He can already hear the flaw in the winch motor. He knows, with absolute certainty, which bearing was deliberately over-tightened. He knows how to fix it. He just stands there, a quiet man in worn boots, and waits. The work is all that matters. The truth, like a well-made engine, has its own time. It will eventually turn over. The memory of the silence that followed her pronouncement does not leave Clara Sterling. It follows her from the boatyard back to the sterile quiet of her father's office. The office is hers now, but it does not feel like it. It smells of his cigars and his leather-bound books. It feels like a suit that is too large. She sits behind the vast mahogany desk, the skyline of the city framed in the floor-to-ceiling window behind her. She replays the scene. The man's stillness, his unervingly steady gray eyes. Most people, when confronted with power, either grovel or bristle. He had done neither. He had simply observed. Marcus Vance enters without knocking, a habit she finds irritating. He places a tablet on her desk. The press is calling it a minor technical hitch. I've spun it as a testament to our safety protocols. The winch stopped before a catastrophe could happen. Brilliant, Clara says, the word dry and lifeless. She does not look at the tablet. She is looking at the reflection in the dark screen, at the faint image of her own face. What about Thorne? He's been reassigned. Swabbing decks, basically. He'll quit within the week, Marcus says with a dismissive wave of his hand. Good riddance. Now, about the quarterly projections. Clara does not hear him. She is still at the boatyard, standing in the uncomfortable silence. She remembers the way the other workers had looked at the ground when she spoke. not in agreement, felt more like shame. But whose? 3 days later, she is on her own yacht, the Legacy, the last boat her father personally commissioned. It is late. A storm is rolling in off the coast, the sky a bruised purple. She is trying to outrun it, pushing the engines hard. She is alone. She prefers it that way. The sea is the only place where the silence feels right. Then the silence becomes absolute. The roar of the twin Stirling V12 engines dies without warning. Not a cough, not a sputter. Just a sudden, complete cessation of power and sound. The yacht lurches in the growing swell. The lights flicker and die, and the emergency backup system kicks in with a weak, yellow glow. She is adrift. The wind howls. Rain begins to lash against the windows of the cabin. She tries the radio. Nothing. The entire electrical system is dead. Panic, cold and sharp, tries to find a purchase. She beats it back. She is Arthur Stirling's daughter. She does not panic. She goes through the emergency checklist. Flares, life raft, emergency beacon. But the beacon is electric. Useless. She is a CEO, a woman who commands a multimillion-dollar corporation. But on the dark, heaving water, she is just a person in a broken machine, utterly helpless. An hour passes, or maybe two. Time dissolves in the roar of the storm. Then, through the rain-streaked glass, she sees it. The steady beam of a spotlight, cutting through the darkness. A boat, a small, sturdy workboat, painted a functional, unglamorous gray, is plowing through the waves toward her. As it draws alongside, a figure in dark rain gear leaps from its deck to hers with a practiced, easy grace. He lands silently. He pulls back his hood. It is Marcus Thorne. He does not look surprised to see her. He carries a heavy canvas tool bag. In the dim emergency light, she sees a small shape huddle in the cabin of his workboat. A child. "Ben Carter sent me," he says, his voice calm, even against the shriek of the wind. Ben is the old yard foreman, a man who had been with her father from the beginning. He monitors the private Stirling frequencies. "Heard your dead man signal." He does not wait for her permission. He moves past her, heading for the engine room. He moves with a quiet purpose, as if the yacht belongs to him, as if he knows every secret of its construction. She follows him down the narrow companionway. The air in the engine room is hot, thick with the smell of ozone and hot metal. He sets his bag down. From it, he removes tools that look like extensions of his own hands. He does not use a flashlight. His fingers trace the wiring looms, the fuel lines, the injectors. He is not looking. He is feeling. He is listening to what the dead machine is telling him. Clara stands in the doorway, feeling useless, an intruder in her own boat. She watches his hands. They are steady, precise. They move with an economy and a certainty that is mesmerizing. "What happened?" she asks. "Your primary ECU is fried," he says, not looking up. He points with a wrench to a black metal box covered in cooling fins. "And the backup is disconnected." Deliberately, the word hangs in the hot, still air. He nods. He pulls a small, insulated wire cutter from his bag. He snips a factory seal. Someone bypassed the entire failsafe system. When the main unit overloaded, there was nothing to switch to. It took out the whole power bus. He looks at her then, his gray eyes holding hers for exactly 3 seconds. "This wasn't an accident." He says nothing more. He does not speculate. He does not accuse. He simply states the fact, a truth he has read in the language of wires and circuits. He turns back to his work. He pulls a new ECU from his bag, a simple, unbranded unit. He begins the slow, methodical process of splicing it into the system. Clara returns to the main cabin. The workboat is still tied alongside, rising and falling in the heavy sea. In its small, well-lit cabin, she can see the child more clearly. A little girl, perhaps 6 or 7, with her father's serious gray eyes. She is drawing in a notebook with a set of colored pencils, perfectly calm amidst the storm. After another 30 minutes, the main lights of the Legacy flicker to life. The steady, reassuring hum of the bilge pumps returns. A moment later, Elias appears. His face is smudged with grease. "The port engine is running," he says. "It will get you home. The starboard ECU needs to be replaced at the yard. And you need to have your chief of security look at the wiring closely." He is about to leave. He turns toward the railing. "Wait," Clara says. The word comes out softer than she intended. "Thank you." He pauses. He gives a short, single nod. Who is that?" she asks, gesturing toward the workboat. "My daughter, Maya," he answers. "I couldn't find a sitter on short notice." There is no apology in his voice. No excuse. Just a simple statement of fact. He is a father. This is his life. He turns again, ready to leap back to his boat. Then the door to the workboat's cabin slides open. The little girl, Maya, steps out. She holds a thermos. She is careful, her small hands gripping it tightly. She looks at her father, then at Clara. She walks to the edge of the boat and holds the thermos up. "Papa said you might be cold," she says, her voice small but clear over the wind. "It's hot chocolate." Elias looks at his daughter, and for the first time, Clara sees his expression soften completely. The quiet, stoic mechanic disappears, replaced for a moment by a father. He steps back, takes the thermos from Maya, and holds it out to Clara. Clara takes it. The metal is warm against her cold hands. She looks at the girl, who gives her a small, shy smile before retreating back into the cabin. "She puts too much sugar in it," Elias says. It is the first personal thing he has said. He leaps back to his boat. He unties the ropes, and without another word, the small workboat pulls away, its spotlight cutting a path back toward the distant shore. Clara stands alone on the deck of her yacht, the storm beginning to break. She holds the warm thermos. She does not open it. She just stands there for a long time, the steady thrum of the single running engine a quiet reminder of the man who had come out of the storm and shown her, without a single boastful word, what true competence looks like. The man she had humiliated. The man who had just saved her. The next morning, Clara does not go to her office. She goes to the boatyard. She bypasses the main building and walks toward the long, low structure at the far end of the property. The one marked Special Projects Division in faded blue letters. A new, temporary sign is nailed to the door, Storage Annex C. The door is unlocked. She pushes it open and steps inside. The air is cool and still, smelling of solvent and clean metal. Light streams in from high, dusty windows, illuminating a space that is less a workshop and more a cathedral to the internal combustion engine. The place is meticulously organized. Tools are not thrown in chests. They are arranged on shadow boards, each wrench and socket in its own painted outline. Engine blocks sit on stands, draped in clean canvas cloths. On a massive workbench, blueprints are weighted down at the corners with polished pistons. They are drawn by hand, with a precision that is both artistic and mathematical. She sees her father's familiar, sprawling signature in the corner of one, and next to it, a second signature E. Thorne. She walks deeper into the space. She runs a hand over the cold, smooth steel of a crankshaft. This is not the den of an obsolete, sentimental man. This is the laboratory of a master craftsman, a genius. On a smaller desk in the corner, she sees evidence of Maya. A stack of drawings, held down by a heavy brass propeller nut. They are not drawings of houses or flowers. They are drawings of engines. Fantastical engines with pipes that curl like vines and gears that look like sunflowers. In one, a small girl with a wrench stands proudly next to a V12, and from the exhaust manifolds, a profusion of brightly colored daisies is blooming. The label at the bottom, in a child's careful print, reads, "Papa's Happy Engine." A sound from the doorway makes her turn. Ben Carter, the old foreman, stands there. His face is a roadmap of wrinkles, his eyes kind but wary. "He's not here," Ben says. "They've got him chipping rust off a mooring barge on the north side." Clara feels a pang of something she identifies as shame. "Ben," I need you to tell me about him. About Elias Thorne. Ben is silent for a long count. He looks around the workshop at the silent, powerful machines. There are two kinds of people in this business, Miss Sterling. People who build boats and people who build engines. Your father, he was a boatman. He understood beauty, line, luxury. But the heart of the boat, that was always a mystery to him. He walks over to a large, framed photograph on the wall. It shows a younger Arthur Sterling, his arm slung around a young man with the same steady gray eyes as Elias. They are grinning, holding a gleaming silver trophy between them. Your father was smart, Ben continues. He knew what he didn't know, so he went looking for an engine man. He found Elias. Just a kid, really, but with a gift. He could hear things in metal. He could understand the soul of a machine. They built this company together, him and your father. Arthur would dream up a beautiful hull, and Elias would invent an engine that could make it fly. I never knew any of this, Clara says, her voice barely a whisper. My father never mentioned him. He did, Ben says gently. You just didn't know how to listen. Every time he talked about the heart of the company, he wasn't talking about the balance sheets. He was talking about this room. He was talking about Elias. Why didn't he defend himself? The day of the launch? She asks, the question that has been haunting her. Ben picks up a micrometer from the workbench, handling it with reverence. Some men, their work speaks for them. They don't need to. Elias made a promise to your father a long time ago, to protect the work. Always arguing with you, making a scene. That would have put the work in jeopardy. So he took the hit. He trusted the work would prove itself in the end. He trusted your father's daughter would eventually see the truth. Ben looks at her directly. The question is, will she? Clara spends the rest of the day in the archives. She pulls the personnel file for Elias Thorne. It is thin, almost empty. No commendations. No disciplinary actions. Just a start date 20 years ago, and a salary that is shockingly low. His employment history before Sterling is a single redacted line. United States Navy Special Warfare Division. She cross-references project files. Every major engine innovation for the last 2 decades, the ones that made the Sterling name legendary for performance, has his initial E.T. tucked away in the corner of the technical drawings. Marcus Vance's signature is always on the cover sheet, taking the credit. The pattern is sickeningly clear. A quiet genius and a loud parasite. That evening, she goes to her father's home office, a room she has avoided since his death. It is exactly as he left it. A half-finished glass of whiskey on the coaster. A book lying open on his desk. She runs her hand over the back of his leather chair. She is not looking for anything in particular. She is just trying to feel his presence, to ask a question she can no longer ask. Her fingers brush against a small, almost invisible seam in the carved wood paneling behind his desk. Curiosity piqued, she presses it. There is a soft click. A section of the wall swings inward, revealing a small, hidden safe. Her father was a man of secrets, but this is a surprise. She tries the combination she knows, his birthday. Nothing. Her mother's birthday. Nothing. The date the company was founded. Nothing. She sinks into his chair, frustrated. Her gaze falls upon the photograph on his desk. It's the same one from the workshop. Her father and the young Elias, holding their racing trophy. On the silver base of the trophy, an inscription is visible. Monaco Grand Prix, Engine Class, 1998. She tries the date. 1-9-9-8. The lock engages with a heavy, satisfying thud. The door swings open. Inside is not what she expects. No stock certificates, no emergency cash. There is only a single, thick leather-bound journal and a sealed manila envelope. Her hands tremble as she opens the journal. It is her father's handwriting. The last entry is dated the week before he died. Clara will take over soon. She is brilliant, sharp, a better business mind than I ever was. But she sees the company as a set of numbers. She does not yet see the heart. Vance will try to poison her against the heart. He will tell her it is an indulgence, a cost center. He has been stealing from me for years in inches and degrees, but his greatest theft has been credit. He is a hollow man. She must see that for herself. Cannot just tell her. She has to learn to trust her own judgment. She flips back through the pages. It is filled with notes on engines, designs, and countless references to Elias. Elias solved the vibration issue in the V-12. A counter-rotating balance shaft. Elegant. Simple. Why didn't I see it? He sees music in the math. His wife passed today. He came to work. Said the engines don't know it's a bad day. He just stood in the workshop for hours, his hand on a cold engine block. I have never seen a man so broken, yet so solid. His little girl, Maya, will be his anchor now. I must be his harbor. Clara closes the journal, tears blurring her vision. She picks up the envelope. Her name is on the front, in her father's hand. She breaks the seal. Inside are 2 documents. The first is a stack of papers detailing years of financial malfeasance by Marcus Vance. Inflated invoices from shell corporations, kickbacks from suppliers, embezzlement masked as R&D expenses. The evidence is meticulous, damning. The second document is a single sheet of paper. It is a legally binding codicil to her father's will. It grants Elias Thorne a 10% ownership stake in Sterling Marine and names him Chief Technical Officer, with permanent, irrevocable control over the Special Projects Division. The document is signed by her father and notarized. It is dated the day before his fatal heart attack. He had intended to give it to Elias. He never got the chance. The truth lands with a physical weight. Her father had not been sentimental. He had been strategic. He had protected the heart of his company the only way he knew how. And she, in her arrogant blindness, had nearly helped Marcus cut it out. She knows what she has to do. She picks up her phone. She does not call her lawyer. She does not call security. She calls the boatyard foreman. Ben, she says, her voice thick with emotion. I need an address for Elias Thorne. The house is small, modest, on a quiet street far from the waterfront mansions her clients inhabit. It has a well-tended garden in the front and a detached garage in the back. A light is on in the garage. She finds him there. He is sitting on a low stool, meticulously cleaning the carburetor from an old outboard motor. The space is as orderly as his workshop at the yard. Maya is asleep on a worn armchair in the corner, a colorful picture book open on her lap. The air smells of gasoline and night-blooming jasmine from the garden. He looks up as she enters. He does not seem surprised. He just watches her, his hands still, his gray eyes patient. Clara Sterling, the powerful CEO, does not know what to say. The words she had prepared, corporate and precise, feel cheap and useless in this quiet, honest space. I know, she says finally. Everything. He waits. The sabotage. Vance. The things my father left for me. I'm sorry, the apology feels inadequate. A pebble tossed into a canyon. He picks up a small brass jet from the carburetor and holds it to the light, inspecting the tiny orifice. You didn't know, he says. It is not an absolution. It is a statement of fact. Why didn't you say anything? She asks, the question that burns inside her. You let me do that to you. You let me say those things. He sets the jet down carefully on a clean rag. He looks from the sleeping form of his daughter to the complex machinery on his workbench. Words are complicated, he says, his voice low. My word to your father was simple. Protect the work. Protect the engines. You are his daughter. You are part of that. Arguing with you in front of those people. That would have been a different kind of damage. Harder to fix. He believed in her. Or rather, he believed in her father's belief in her. He had endured the humiliation on faith. Faith that the daughter would eventually be worthy of the father. A small sound comes from the corner. Maya stirs in her sleep. Elias gets up, walks over, and gently pulls a knitted blanket over her. The gesture is so tender, so practiced, it makes Clara's chest ache. When he turns back, she holds out the codicil to the will. This is yours. He wanted you to have it. He takes the paper and reads it under the single bare bulb of the garage light. He shows no surprise, no elation. He just nods slowly, as if reading a confirmation of something he already knew. He folds the paper carefully and puts it not in his pocket, but on the workbench next to his tools. An instrument of his trade, no different from a wrench or a screwdriver. The board meeting is in 2 days, Clara says, her voice finding its familiar strength, its command. Vance is presenting a motion to sell off the custom division and outsource all our engine manufacturing. He has the votes, or he thinks he does. Elias looks at her, and for the first time, she sees a spark in his eyes, not of anger, but of fierce, protective loyalty. He will not touch those engines, he says. It is the quietest, most absolute threat she has ever heard. We need to work together, she says. I have the financial evidence, but I need you. I need you to explain the technical sabotage, to make them understand what he has been doing to the heart of this company. He nods once. I'll be there. There is a long silence. The only sounds are the chirp of crickets outside and the soft breathing of the sleeping child. Maya shifts again. She opens her eyes sleepily. She sees Clara standing in the garage. She does not seem afraid or surprised. She sits up, rubs her eyes, and then slides off the chair. She walks over to a small refrigerator in the corner and takes out a carton of juice. She pours 2 glasses. She walks over and hands one to her father, and then, without hesitation, she holds the other one out to Clara. Clara looks down at the small plastic cup of apple juice, offered by the small, steady hand of a child. It feels like a sacrament, a gesture of acceptance into this small, quiet world of integrity. She takes the cup. Thank you, Maya, she says. The little girl just smiles and leans against her father's leg. Elias puts a hand on her head, his fingers gently stroking her hair. In that moment, watching them, Clara Sterling understands. This is the heart of the company. It was never about the engines. It was about the man who built them. The boardroom is a cold, sterile space on the 50th floor. It is designed to intimidate. A long, black granite table reflects the gray sky outside. The board members, 10 of them, are arranged like statues. Marcus Vance is at the head of the table, looking confident, expansive. He smiles at Clara as she enters. It is the smile of a predator that believes its prey is already dead. Clara takes her seat. She places a single, thin folder on the table in front of her. She is calm. The fear she has lived with for months, the fear of not being enough, is gone. She is her father's daughter. She knows the heart of the company now. Elias Thorne is not in the room. He is waiting, as they agreed, in the anteroom. Clara, Marcus begins, his voice smooth as oil. Glad you could make it. We have a full agenda, but I'd like to begin with my proposal to divest from the non-profitable legacy assets. No, Clara says. The word is quiet, but it cuts through the room. All eyes turn to her.
I'm sorry.
Marcus says, his smile faltering. We will begin with a review of your performance as COO, Marcus, she says. She opens the folder. I have here audited statements from 3 of our primary suppliers. They seem to have been overbilling us, consistently, for the past 7 years. And the Shell Corporation, they pay a consulting fee to. It's registered in your wife's maiden name. The color drains from Marcus's face. The board members stir, murmuring. Clara does not raise her voice. She lays out the financial evidence piece by piece, a cold, methodical demolition. The inflated invoices, the ghost employees on the payroll, the fuel discrepancies. With each new piece of paper she places on the granite table, another layer of Marcus Vance's carefully constructed facade peels away. He sputters. He denies. He blusters. This is absurd.
À fabrication.
This is the work of a disgruntled accountant. You can't prove any of this. You are correct, Clara says calmly. The numbers are only half the story. The other half is about the product. About the engines you've been systematically undermining for years. She presses a button on the console in front of her. I'd like to bring in our new chief technical officer to explain. The door opens. Elias Thorne walks in. He still wears a simple work shirt, but it is clean and pressed. He wears the same worn boots. He carries no papers, no charts. He walks to the side of the room and stands there, his hands clasped behind his back. His presence alone shifts the gravity in the room. Marcus scoffs, a desperate, ugly sound. Him? This is your expert? A grease monkey who almost destroyed our new flagship launch. He is the man whose designs you have been putting your name on for 20 years. Clara says, her voice like ice. Elias, would you please explain to the board what you found on my yacht? Elias speaks. His voice is even factual. He describes the disconnected backup ECU, the deliberately frayed wiring harness, the use of a cheap aftermarket sensor designed to fail under high thermal loads. He does not use jargon. He speaks in simple, clear terms of cause and effect, of stress and failure. He speaks the language of truth. He then connects it to a dozen other unexplained warranty claims, engine failures, and performance issues over the last 5 years. He paints a picture of deliberate, systemic sabotage. Sabotage designed to make the company's finest work, his work, look unreliable, justifying its sale. Marcus is on his feet now, his face purple with rage. This is slander. He is a disgraced mechanic with a grudge. No one will believe this. As if on cue, the main boardroom door opens again. A man in the full dress uniform of a 4-star admiral of the United States Navy steps inside. He is tall, imposing, his face weathered by sun and sea. On his chest, a rainbow of ribbons speaks of a lifetime of service and command. It is Admiral Hayes, a man every person in the room recognizes. He is not just a military hero. He is their largest single client, overseeing the Navy's contracts for high-speed patrol boat engines. Am I interrupting? The Admiral asks, his voice a low boom. Admiral Hayes. No, of course not. Marcus says, rushing to greet him, desperate for an ally. We were just clearing up an internal matter. The Admiral's eyes scan the room. They pass over Marcus, over Clara, over the stunned board members. They land on Elias Thorne, standing quietly by the wall. The Admiral's entire demeanor changes. The stern commander vanishes, replaced by something else. Something like awe. He walks past the fawning Marcus Vance. He crosses the room. He stops directly in front of Elias. And then he does not kneel quickly. It is a slow, deliberate motion. The crisp fabric of his uniform makes a soft, respectful sound. He lowers one knee to the polished floor. He bows his head. The board is silent. Utterly, completely silent. It is an honor to see you again, Chief Thorne. The Admiral says, his voice, now filled with a deep, profound respect, echoing in the stunned room. We would have lost everyone on Operation Trident if you hadn't held that engine together with nothing but a wrench and sheer force of will. You are, and always will be, a legend in the fleet. He remains there, this powerful, decorated man, kneeling on the floor. He is not kneeling to a mechanic. He is kneeling to a hero, to a man who saved his men, to a quiet craftsman whose integrity was forged in places these men in suits could not even imagine. Elias Thorne looks uncomfortable with the display. He puts a hand on the Admiral's shoulder. Get up, Marcus, he says quietly, using the Admiral's first name. There's no need for that here. The Admiral rises. He turns to face the board, his eyes blazing. This man, he says, pointing to Elias, is the reason the Navy buys Sterling engines. Not him, he says, jabbing a thumb at the pale, trembling Marcus Vance. Him. If he is not the heart of this company, then we are taking our business elsewhere. Effective immediately. The vanquishing is swift and total. The vote to remove Marcus Vance is unanimous. Security escorts him from the building. The truth, like a well-made engine, has finally powerfully turned over. After the room has cleared, only Clara and Elias remain. The silence that settles between them is different now. It is not empty. It is filled with everything that has happened. They walk to the elevator together. They do not speak. The only sound is the soft hum of the machinery, and the contrast between the sharp click of her heels and the soft, solid tread of his boots. In the vast, empty parking garage, under the flat fluorescent lights, they stop by her car. "The board has ratified my father's codicil," she says. "You are the chief technical officer and a 10% owner of Sterling Marine." He nods. He looks at his hands, then back at her. "I'll need to keep my workshop. I can't do the work from an office on the 50th floor." "I know," she says. "I'm moving my office to the boatyard, to the building next to yours." A CEO should be close to the heart of her company. He absorbs this. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small, heavy object. It is an old, beautifully made ignition wrench. It is worn smooth with use. The maker's mark, Sterling, is from the very first year of the company. "This was your grandfather's," he says. "Your father gave it to me when I started. He said it was the key to the whole company." He holds it out to her. "I think it belongs to you now." She takes it. The metal is cool and heavy in her palm. It is not a gift. It is a transfer of trust, a symbol of their new, shared stewardship. 6 months later, the sun is setting over the water, painting the sky in shades of orange and violet. The new Sterling Albatross, a sleek patrol boat, cuts through the water, its twin engines humming a perfect, powerful song. It is the first boat they have designed together. It is faster, more efficient, and quieter than anything the company has ever produced. On the shore, a small triumvirate stands watching. Elias, Clara, and between them, Maya. She is holding both of their hands. The company is thriving. The Navy contract is larger than ever. The Special Projects Division is the celebrated, driving force of innovation. The heart is strong. The Albatross makes a final, high-speed pass and then heads for the docks. The sound of its engines fades, leaving only the gentle slap of water against the shore. Maya lets go of their hands and runs down to the water's edge, chasing the last of the waves. Clara and Elias stand side by side, not touching, but connected by the comfortable silence between them. They watch the girl. They watch the sea. He does not say, "I'm glad you see the truth now." She does not say, "Thank you for saving me from myself." They do not need to. The work speaks for them. The quiet hum of the successful engine on the water says everything. He turns his head slightly, his gaze meeting hers in the fading light. A small, almost imperceptible smile touches his lips. It is the first time she has ever seen him smile. She smiles back. It is a quiet beginning, earned, hopeful, enough.